So welcome back to our conversation about the human animal and the human predicament. And today I'd like you to imagine that you're in a social setting of some kind, and the conversation turns to the state of the world and the state of the planet. And someone asks you, do you believe in climate change? And we hear this more and more, don't we? But it turns out that's really not a very good question at all. Because this is not about belief. This is not about Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy or the Loch Ness Monster. This is about physics. This is about our understanding of complex systems and change over time. And unfortunately, a lot of us fail to appreciate this. We are, you might say, illiterate in the dynamics of change in complex systems. And I'd like to read a passage from Gregory Bateson. He was a student of living systems, and he put it this way. The major problems of the world are the result of the difference between how nature works and the way people think. So in other words, we don't appreciate living systems. We are, in large measure, linear minds trying to make a go of it in a non-linear world. By that I mean a linear mind sees change incrementally. A little bit of change today, a little bit of change tomorrow, a little bit of change the next day, and on it goes. But in a complex system, change can be non-linear. A little bit of change, a little bit of change, a little bit of change starts to build on itself, and then you get a whole lot of change. This becomes exponential change. And when it comes to the planet, there's a couple of really glaring examples here. The first one is melting permafrost. So you have these vast areas of tundra in the Arctic that contain methane, a greenhouse gas. And when that tundra starts to melt, it releases the methane into the atmosphere, which causes more warming, which causes more melting of the permafrost. That's a positive feedback cycle that leads to rapid change. Another example is the albedo or reflectivity of the snow and ice in the Arctic. In normal conditions, we have reflection off the white color of snow and ice, reflecting the energy back into space. But when that starts to melt, it exposes more of the dark color of the water around. And now you have more absorption, more heating, more melting. You can see how this goes. Other examples, change over time and positive feedback loops. Imagine if some diabolical technician came into your house and reworked your thermostat. So now instead of, let's say your house gets warmer, you would turn on the air conditioning, or if your house gets colder, you would turn on the heat. That's how it normally works. But now, rig it the other way, so when your house gets warmer, it turns on the heat, and now you get more heat in, you turn on more heat, more heating, more heating, and that's positive feedback. That's exponential change over time. Not a good thing. Or imagine the parable of the Persian chess game that Carl Sagan used to talk about. And here's how that works. Let's say we have a wager. And I say, well, if I win the wager, you can give me 1 grain of rice on the first day, and then we will double it each day over the course of the chessboard for 64 days. It's just a simple doubling. Don't worry about it. So on day 1, it's 1 kernel of rice. On day 2, it's 2. And then it goes to 4. And then it goes to 8. Then it goes to 16. Then 32. And before you know it, you get halfway across the chessboard and you're having to bring in truckloads and trainloads of rice to satisfy the wager. That's exponential, nonlinear change over time. So we need to study these things. We need to understand how this works. And we're largely failing to do that. Because if we did understand these things, our behavior would look totally different right now. We'd be doing 2 things. We would be acting decisively, in the face of this radical change? Or at the very least, we would have deep conversations about what we're doing on the planet right now, who we are as human beings, and where we might be going. But we're doing neither of those things. So I think right now, what we need to do is really clear. We need to study complex systems. We need to understand change over time, and that will give us some clarity about the state of our world and our predicament. So next time somebody asks you this question, do you believe in climate change? Make sure you reframe it. Say, well, that's a bad question. We need to talk about understanding, not belief. See you next time.